In this week's Put It Into Practice episode, I'm talking about the teen mental illness epidemic that Jonathan Haidt recently wrote about in his Substack article. You can find the link to that article in the show notes. Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. At the end of March, I was made aware of an article by Jonathan Haidt, and this article has been sitting with me now for about 2 weeks. And I wanted to share the article with you all. And I also wanted to talk about teen mental health because it's an epidemic at the moment. As a mother of a teen who is smack in the middle of all the teen things, and I see a lot of what's going on with her peers, I feel like it's just something that as a mom and as a therapist, it's been on my heart, and I need to talk about it. And I need to not just talk about it, because I don't want to be the kind of person that just talks about something, but I want to give actionable things that you can take away and that you can start to implement today. That if you're noticing your teen is maybe experiencing some issues with their mental health, you can put these into practice, like the podcast title. You can start putting them into practice today. So let me share a little bit about the article, and I will put the link in the show notes so you can go and read it for yourself. And I get his Substack. So the Substack article that he sent over is titled "The Teen Mental Health Illness Epidemic is International Part 1, the Anglosphere." And in this article, he discusses the rising trend of mental health issues among teenagers in English-speaking countries, specifically the US, Canada, United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. And the article highlights the various factors that contribute to this trend, including the rise of social media, changes in family structure, academic pressure, and the decline of religion. And Jonathan Haidt suggests that these factors have created a culture that values individualism and self-expression over community and responsibility, which can lead to increased feelings of isolation and anxiety among young people. He also explores the different approaches taken by these countries to address the issue, such as increasing access to mental health services and implementing school-based interventions. However, he notes that many of these efforts have not been successful in reversing the trend of rising mental health issues among teenagers. So overall, his article emphasizes the need for a more holistic approach to addressing the mental health crisis among teenagers, and one that takes into account both individual and societal factors, and emphasizes the importance of social connection and community. Now, I'm probably telling you some things that you already know, and maybe you've been, wondering these things for some time now about your teen or even your preteen, and you're wondering, like, okay, it's obvious to you. You're seeing it out in your community. You're seeing it on social media. You're hearing about it from your other friends who are also parents. So what do we do as parents? Like, how do we help our kid? How do we help our teens with dealing with the pressures that are out there, as well as like helping them, learn to put the phone down and interact with each other face to face, and not rely on these apps to give them that feeling of community and social connection? How do we do that as parents? So I'm going to give you some tips. Now, there's lots of things that we can do as parents that can help our children, when it comes to their mental health. So the first thing is learn how to open up communication with your teen or your preteen. Encourage your children to talk about their feelings and thoughts, and let them know that you are there to listen without judgment. Create an open and supportive environment where your children can feel comfortable sharing their concerns with you. So you have to look at how you're talking with your teen, how much time you're spending with your teen. You have to put your phone down. You have to put your phone down yourself and, communicate with your teen. And you have to do that in a way that you do it without judgment. Now, as parents, I know so many things we want to in the moment. We want to like make a teaching lesson, opportunity for growth. But if we can just listen to our teen instead of telling them that, like problem solving what they need to do or telling them what they need to do, and just listen without judgment, That can go so far. That doesn't mean that you're not going to at some point address what it is that you're hearing, but if you just let them talk to you and listen to them without interruption, active listening skills are going to come in really handy here, and just do it without judgment, that can go a very long way. Number two, this is something that we are sticklers on in our household. Monitor social media and screen time. Set limits on the amount of time your children spend on social media and other electronic devices. Encourage them to engage in other activities that promote physical activity and social interaction. Now, I'm a Gen Xer. I am about to be 50. I grew up in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And, we didn't have, of course, we didn't have social media. We didn't have these things that we could take with us, and like instantly be in touch with our friends, or we'd get a buzz, or we just didn't have that. We had to, if we wanted to talk to our friends, we had to pick up the phone and call them, or we had to get on our bike and ride over to their house, or we had to walk to their house. I remember calling my mom from a payphone in school. Like, it's just such a different time. So we're so lucky that we didn't grow up with these things being constantly on our hips. We know what it's like to go down the rabbit hole of being on social media or being on our phones, and then like kind of waking up from that and you're like, whoa, this is just weird. And then at least I hope you do. I hope that you realize if how much time you're spending on social media or on your phone. We have to get back to that. We have to get back to putting those phones down and connecting with our kids. And I know this sounds hard because maybe you've already given your kid free reign with the phone. Maybe at a certain age, they got all the apps, they got all the screen time taken off. But if you're noticing that their mental health is declining, or they're dealing with some stuff that's really tough, as the parent, you got to take the phone and you have to put some limits on it, because chances are that could be impacting what's going on with them. So you have that right as a parent to set those limits and to set the screen time and to take back take it back and hold on to it if you need to. Set some rules up around how social media. Now, it's going to look different for every family, but it's really important that you as the parent recognize that you have that right and you have that power. Encourage them to engage in other activities that promote physical activity and social interaction, whatever that looks like for your kid, whatever that looks like, whether that's, joining a club team, joining some type of after school activity, clubs, being social with other kids. It's so important. They need that interaction with each other. Encourage them to do that. Help them find new hobbies, help them find what their skills are, help them find what their strengths are. Music lessons. And it doesn't have to be like you go, and purchase them music lessons. I mean, gosh, if they're showing interest in music, you can get on YouTube. I know, once again, you're getting on a screen, but if you're intentionally getting on YouTube to learn how to play the guitar, that's pretty cool. I think that you can teach yourself how to play the guitar. These are just ideas that I'm throwing out at you. All right. Encourage physical activity and healthy habits. Teach them how to love exercise. I know you may not love exercise, but chances are, I imagine you can take yourself for a walk, right? You can take the dog for a walk. Do you enjoy that? Does it help you reduce stress and anxiety? Because exercise has been proven and shown to help us reduce stress and anxiety. So take them outside, take them on a walk with you, whether if it's even just 10 minutes a day. Encourage them to engage in activities that they enjoy, and encourage them to eat healthy food and get enough sleep. I see a lot of kids right now that I don't know what they're being fed, but they are definitely on the way to developing some health issues. And that means that maybe you need to take a look at what you're eating and what you're feeding them, and maybe make some changes in nutrition. So help them learn how to get enough sleep. And a lot of this comes down to, what are you modeling for your kids? Okay. How are you showing up as the best to you? And also, of course, seek professional help when needed. If you notice persistent signs of depression, anxiety, other mental health issues in your child, seek the help of a mental health professional. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because early intervention can be the key to preventing more serious issues from developing. And I'm going to share a little bit more about what mental health issues can look like in your child in just a few minutes. But seek help if you need it. Seek help. It's really, really important. You are not alone. There are professionals out there that work with kids, that work with teens, that this is their niche. This is what they love to do. Another thing to do is help your kid foster a sense of community. Encourage your children to participate in those activities, like I said, sports, teams, clubs. And this can help them build a sense of belonging and reduce feelings of isolation. And that is what they need at this age. They need to find the people, find their peers that they have that sense of belonging with, reduce the feelings of isolation. And remember, that every child is different and there is no one size fits all solution to addressing mental health issues. However, by taking a proactive and supportive approach, we parents can play a huge and important role in helping our children maintain good mental health. So let's talk a little bit about what are some signs that your teen may be experiencing mental health issues, because it is so important for parents to be aware of the signs that their teen may be experiencing mental health issues. You are more than likely going to be one of the first person to notice that something is off with your child. All right, so here are some common signs to look for. Changes in mood or behavior. So, teens who are struggling with mental health issues may experience sudden and extreme changes in their mood or behavior. This can include becoming more withdrawn, irritable, or anxious. Changes in sleep or eating patterns. Mental health issues can also impact a teen's sleep and eating habits. Look out for changes in their appetite as well as changes in their sleeping patterns, such as a hard time falling asleep or sleeping even too much. Loss of interest in activities. So, teens who are struggling with their mental health issues may lose interest in activities that they once enjoyed, such as sports or hobbies. They're having a hard time concentrating. Mental health issues can also impact a teen's ability to concentrate and focus on tasks, both at home and at school. Physical symptoms, because some mental health issues can also cause physical symptoms, such as headaches or stomach aches, without a clear medical cause. Self-harm. So, teens who are struggling with mental health issues may engage in self-harm behaviors, such as cutting or burning themselves. And substance use. So, teens may turn to drugs or alcohol as a way to cope with mental health issues. So, be aware of any sudden changes in their behavior or their social circle. It's really important. Now, I know a lot of these things, if you have a teen, they're kind of moody, they're kind of withdrawn, they kind of all over the board with some of these things anyway, but you know your kid best, and you're going to know if I use the word off, if they're off, if these signs are becoming more prevalent, if you're noticing a drastic change in their behaviors and their moods and then that is really, really important to then definitely have a conversation with your teen. Now, I don't want to make this like such a downer of an episode, but I do think that this is really important. This isn't something that's just going to go away on its own, because if it's not addressed, if these things aren't addressed in their teen years, they're going to take it into their 20s, and then it's going to follow them into their relationships. It's going to follow them into possibly their career path. If it's not addressed early, then it's possible that it could get worse, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But the good news is that because of Jonathan Haidt's research and because of the work that he's doing, and he's looking at all these different studies across the world, across the globe of teens, we know what the cause is. And now that we know what the cause is, we can actually do something about it. And I think that's, like, to use the word, the most exciting part of this information is that we know what we can do as their parents. And if you're struggling as a parent with this, you're not sure what to do next. If you have your own mental health issues, that could also be part of what's going on with your child, because it's possible that if you're dealing with depression or anxiety, you might be raising a child who is also dealing with those things, but that doesn't mean that there's not hope. Okay. There's definitely hope, and there's definitely ways to work through this. And one of them is to start working with a mental health professional. And so in the show notes, you'll find links on how to find a mental health professional for your teen, for you, for your family, whatever it is that you're struggling with. So I hope that you found this episode helpful. Know that you have power here as the parent. Know that you are probably the most important person in your child's life to actually help them deal and to help them overcome whatever it is that they're experiencing. And I want to just emphasize one more time that you do have the power and the right to take those phones and to set limits. And I just want to encourage you, if that's what needs to happen, then do it. They might not like it, but in the long run, they're going to be grateful that you did it. So thanks for listening, you guys. I hope you found this episode informative and helpful. I do want to remind you to know it is important to stress that these episodes are not meant to take the place of any work you're doing with your therapist or doctor. In fact, please run these ideas by your counselor or doctor before you act on them to make sure you are ready for them or even a fit for the suggestions. I can't stress this enough that each person is unique and their situation is unique. So please talk to your doctor or mental health professional before starting anything new I might be suggesting. And the therapy show with Lisa Mustard and the information provided by me is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes and is not a substitute for advice, diagnosis, or treatment regarding medical or mental health conditions. Although I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, the views expressed on the site or any related content should not be taken for medical or psychiatric advice. Always consult your physician before making any decisions related to your physical or mental health. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.